Do you ever get into a situation that's so bad that you feel like if you had just done the opposite, everything would have been better? Like that Seinfeld episode where George does the opposite. Well, I want to tell you about a situation that happened where I literally shut down my old business and reinvented it because I felt like everything was so bad, I just had to quit. And the reason it came up is because Wendy, who's in our Facebook group, I'll put a link in the description if you want to join the Facebook group. She asked a question that got me thinking about all of this because she has a client that hired her. And what happened was she was doing the work for the client. The client then gets sick and pauses the project for a little bit. They come back and say, hey, Wendy, we like everything that you've done, but we're not really experts at this. So we're going to hire a different designer to come in and do the mock-ups. We'll send you the mock-ups and then you can kind of build the website from that. And she's like, well, what am I supposed to do? They're not respecting my authority. I feel like my design is fine. This is going to stretch the project out forever. What am I supposed to do? And so that got me thinking about all of this stuff. And if that were, and this did happen to me, I literally shut down my business and then reinvented it because of a really similar situation, especially with regard to authority. I'll tell you about in a second. But if this happens to you on a regular basis, or even just once, I would look at this and find out why, what went wrong. And it could be that it's nobody's fault. It could be it's not Wendy's fault. It's not the client's fault. Maybe she just got a referral from somewhere. The referral maybe didn't even understand the breadth of Wendy's expertise and sort of positioned Wendy in the wrong light. And the client just didn't understand all the stuff that Wendy could do. Okay, well, it's at least helpful to know that that's what happened. That's one of the things. There's usually like 3 things that can go wrong when the client doesn't understand all the stuff that you can do. And kind of wonky referrals or misplaced referrals, I guess is the more professional way to say it, is something that might go wrong with regard to that. The second thing is sometimes you might be working with a client that you've worked with before, or maybe one of your past clients refers you to somebody else, but now you've picked up some new skills. Like maybe you've gone through DoubleStack where you've got the tech stack and the marketing stack, and you kind of put that together. That's the name DoubleStack. But they don't know that you've got the marketing stack yet. And so you have to kind of make a shift because of that reason, because you picked up new skills. We'll address that issue later too. The third one, which is the one that I want to address right now, is if you accidentally position yourself on a recurring basis as the website person. And therefore, you sort of don't really have the authority in other areas of marketing and copywriting and lead generation, all that other stuff. And then you end up in a situation kind of like Wendy's where they don't understand that you can do a lot more than they think that you can do. And so they bring in other people like this designer that's going to do these mock-ups and all that stuff. So the reason that I think this, and this is definitely the way that it happened to me, and I think almost all web designers at least start out thinking this way, where the business model is sort of set up as if you're an artist. Like I used to think of myself kind of as an artist, even though like most of the work that I do is coding, like back-end coding and stuff. But like the WordPress motto is code is poetry. So I know that websites aren't just art, but it takes an artist to launch one, even from the back-end coding side. And certainly if you're doing branding and web design and logos and stuff, I mean, that's obviously art too. And so because I felt like an artist, I then used this artist framework as my business model. And the pinnacle of like, there's like a 3-tiered hierarchy of the artist framework where the top tier, the main driver behind the whole thing is the client's feelings. I want them to feel happy with the work that I did, right? I mean, obviously you don't want them to not be happy, but that was the main driver. And so what that meant was like the very first thing I would do is I would have a discovery call or a discovery session with the client to figure out what they wanted. And then I would do the very best that I could to bring their vision to life and, take what they wanted and implement it to the best of my ability in providing the best customer experience that I can. Like I'd be responsive, like if they emailed me or called me or something, I'd respond right away, fair pricing, not missing any deadlines, try to do exactly what they wanted. And I just want them to be happy with my work because if they are, then they won't mind paying the invoice. Maybe they'll send me some referrals from other people. And I just wanted to have people like it. And that was the top tier things. Like feelings drove the show. The feelings drove my action. So the client might come back and say, hey, Lee, I want the logo to pop a little bit more. I don't like this shade of blue. And so I'd say, oh, okay. Well, let me see if I can take some action based on those feelings and make you feel happy with what I did. And then finally, we finish the project, we launch the site, and then we collect the data to see what happened. But at that point, it's too late to do anything about it because most clients don't hire me for any sort of ongoing marketing support or anything like that because they don't think of me in that way. They just think I'm the website guy. And so by the time we start collecting data, it's too late to do anything about it anyway. And so this feelings, actions, data structure, it just didn't work. Like it was really frustrating. The most frustrating part of all was the lack of authority. Like I didn't have the authority to tell my clients things that I know would help them out, especially with the conversion rates on their website, because they didn't think of me in that light. They wouldn't take my advice in that area because I'm just the website person. And I think Wendy's having a similar situation to that. And so I'll tell you about why I actually almost shut down my whole business about this. But basically what I did was I inverted the whole thing. I thought that this is going in such a bad direction that if I just did the opposite, everything would be better. And so instead of the artist framework, I switched to the authority framework. And if you want to get some more details on what the authority framework is, I put together a whole video on just the authority framework that you can, if you go to doublestack.net/authority-framework, you'll see a whole thing. And even if you just watch you don't even have to watch the whole video, just watch half of the video. And I think it will totally change the way that you view your own business and how clients see you. But let me tell you what caused me to almost shut down my whole business. So I've got this client, she does natural health. And she has this particular thing that she knows how to do called iridology. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. It's like she has this thing that will look into your eye, and based on the colors and stuff that she sees in your eye, it sort of reflects nutritional deficiencies. And so she can prescribe supplements and stuff to kind of improve your health and your energy levels and stuff like that. So it's really cool, a lot of science behind it, but it's also pretty technical. So I build this big website. It's lots of pages, lots of information on how this whole thing works. And I send her the website and she's looking at it. She likes everything, but comes back with some edits just to the copy. And so there's a lot of pages. And so I feel like she starts sending these Word documents, endless bullet points of change requests. So it's not like I can just copy and paste the content from one Word document onto one WordPress page. It was bullet points of individual changes, change the punctuation of this sentence, or delete this word, or change the end of this sentence to this other thing. So I have to hunt through the whole site and go through an infinity bullet points. And it was really tedious work, but also almost entirely mindless stuff. It's anybody could do that. And I'm thinking to myself, this is what have I gotten myself into? I mean, I was doing bioterrorism surveillance for the government for a while. I've launched multiple $1 million businesses. I've made electronic medical record platforms. I'm entirely undervaluing my skill set by changing punctuation from a Word document to a WordPress site. But I couldn't tell her that this isn't going to work out. And what made it even worse was I'm reading the words, I'm actually reading the copy, and I'm thinking there's no way this is going to convert. It's far too much information. It's way too technical. And so I'm spending all of this time doing something I know is not going to convert. It's not in the best interest of my client, but I didn't have the authority to say or do anything about it, because this is before I made the flip to the authority framework. I was doing feelings, actions, and if I said, hey, I'm not going to do it, that wrecks the feeling. She's going to be mad, all that stuff. And she doesn't even look to me for any of the conversion stuff or any of the marketing stuff. She's looking to me as the web design person. And so I was I'm never going to do this. I finished the project and everything, of course, but I was I'm never going to ever sell another website. And instead, I flipped the whole thing on its head and created what I refer to now as the authority framework. And the authority framework flips the feelings, actions, data to data, actions, feelings. And so I modeled the authority framework after the doctor framework, like a doctor framework where all doctors, they start with the data. You're not even allowed to get clients until you have data that backs up the actions you're planning to take, so that the feelings, the results you get, are positive. So I wanted people to look at me sort of like a business doctor, so that I don't do discovery calls anymore to figure out what people want me to do. Now I do qualification calls where I'm seeing, is this the kind of client that I have a solution for already? For example, I don't want them to tell me what they want. I want to have the authority to tell them what needs to be done in order to get the results that they need. So it's a complete reversal of authority and leadership in the same way that it works with the doctor. That's the whole idea behind the authority framework. And so it starts with the data. I want to say, I've done research. I've got expertise in this field. I have data to back up the actions that I'm planning to take. And so the data drive the actions. And then after I take the actions drive the feelings. Like, oh, we're actually getting more traffic. We're seeing some more leads come in. We're converting those leads to clients. We're making more money. It's working. I have authentic feelings of success. That's awesome. That's where I really wanted to be. And the benefits of making that shift are huge. Like I basically tripled my revenue overnight by making the shift because now the projects are bigger, got recurring revenue. Everybody gets the subscription part, like the monthly recurring marketing plan is included with every website. So now I'm selling the marketing and the website. Every client tends to get both because why would you buy the website if you didn't want the marketing? And if they're so interlocked, you can't pull them apart. And best of all, I'm looked at now as like the business doctor. So I have the authority to say, I think we should change this, or this isn't working, or let me look at the analytics. Like for example, suppose you're looking at your website analytics. You notice you have a high bounce rate on your homepage. Well, what's the problem? Like, why not use that data to say, hey, you know what? It's not going to be the stuff down towards the bottom of the page. It's not like the call to action. People aren't even getting to that. They're bouncing right off the top. There must be something wrong with the headline or the audience qualification aspect of the landing page or the homepage. And so I'm using the data to drive the actions. Like, isn't it so much better to use that rather than someone say, I feel like the website doesn't pop enough, or I don't like that shade of blue, or something like, why would anybody take action on that? Because now you're just doing random work based on opinions and feelings. Wouldn't it be better to actually look at the analytics and say, hey, this is where the problem is? Or what if you look at the analytics, you've got a pretty nice time on site, but you're just not getting the conversions? Well, it means that the headline's probably drawing people in, you're probably targeting the right audience, but you're probably not addressing the issue that they feel like is urgent enough to cause them to take the call to action. So now you know where to focus your attention on what to fix. You see what I mean? So the data drive the actions. And then once you fix the actions based on the data, you feel happy about it. You had the success. You could have it the other way. The data could reveal that you took actions that resulted in something that didn't work, but then you're still there on the marketing plan. So you can change it. So you're there on an ongoing basis. Everything is so much better. You have the authority to make this shift. It's a huge difference. If you want to learn more about the authority framework, go to doublestack.net/authority-framework. You'll see my whole video there. And again, if you just watch, you only need to watch even half the video, and you'll see what I'm talking about how it will change the way you view your business and how your clients actually view you with regard to your authority and the breadth of your expertise. So if you don't want to do that, check out this next video that I'm going to post here where I interviewed Dave. Dave's my friend. He's been a DoubleStack, and over a little bit less than a year, he started at about $50,000. He's now up to over $175,000 in his business because he started to use the authority framework. So check this out and you'll hear him talk about how it's working for him. I'll see you there.